This video and related practice questions is on the subject of multiplying monomials. Let's first talk a little bit about what a monomial is. A monomial is just a term. We've been dealing with polynomials where we had like 2x plus 6x plus 3, maybe something like that. And those are each terms. Those are each monomials. So in this video, we're going to be talking about multiplying those terms together instead of adding and subtracting them, as we've been doing in the previous videos. So let me erase that. Here's an example up here of the multiplication of two monomials. We're multiplying 2x and 6x. That's actually one of the examples I will be covering in a few minutes. So there are two main steps to multiplying monomials. First of all, multiply the coefficients. The coefficients are the numbers in front of the variables. So in this case, we have a coefficient of 2 in front of this x and a coefficient of 6 in front of that x. So as I said, we will be doing that problem in a few moments. The second step is to add the exponents for each variable to get the new exponent for that variable. So in this case, we will look at our two variables and we'll notice that there aren't any exponents. When there aren't any exponents, you need to remember that there is actually an exponent of 1. So that will be very helpful for working through these problems and getting them correct. Remembering when the variable does not have an exponent, it really has an exponent of 1. Okay, let's get to those practice problems, or actually those demonstration problems, I should say. I have 4 of them. The first is y times y. These parentheses are each monomial that we're multiplying against the other monomial. So remembering that this y really has an exponent of 1, and this y has an exponent of 1, we notice we don't have any coefficients other than 1. Much like the exponent, when there's no coefficient, it's really just 1. So we could say that this is 1y times 1y. We multiply the coefficients and we just get 1. So if there aren't any coefficients, we really don't have to worry about them, and we can go right to the variable. So our variable is y. The exponents are 1 and 1. We add those together. So it's going to be y to the 1 plus 1, which is equal to y to the second. And that will always be the case when we multiply one variable times another variable. There's no exponents. Y times y will be y squared. X times x will be x squared. That will always be the case. Okay, let's move on to example 2. Now we have some coefficients. And I can use this one. This is the problem that we just talked about a few moments ago. It might be helpful to rearrange this. And I'm going to rearrange it so the coefficients are next to each other. So we could rearrange this to be 2 times 6 times x times x. And the reason that I can do that is the order of multiplication doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter whether we multiply the 2 and the 6 together first, and the x and the x together second. We're just multiplying all of these things together. So the order is not important, but this might help make it clear to you that we should multiply these two coefficients together. 2 times 6, it gives us 12. And once again, here we are again with x to the first times x to the first, and that gives us that x squared, x to the second power. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's move on to question 3. Now this one's a little bit different because we actually have 2 different variables. We have a y and we have an x. And we don't have any other y's or x's that are being multiplied together. So what's interesting about this problem is that we don't really have anything to do other than to rewrite this as 5 times x times y. Now, why did I write it in that order? Well, normally we write the number first, the coefficient or the product of the coefficients will be first, and then the variables will appear in alphabetical order. So 5 times x times y. It just ended up being kind of a rearrangement of those terms. Okay, let's look at number 4. We have coefficients. We have a variable of x to the 2nd power. We have a coefficient of 5 and x to the 4th power. Let's do the rearranging thing and put the coefficients together. 2 times 5. And then I'm going to do x squared times x to the 4th. So all I'm doing there is grouping it the way that I want to do the multiplication. We multiply these two coefficients. 2 times 5 is 10. Be careful when there's a negative number there. It's just like multiplying any negative numbers, but you want to make sure that you get that right. And then when we multiply x times x, we are going to add those two exponents. So we could say that that's going to be x to the 2 plus 4. Don't make the mistake of multiplying those exponents. That's the most common mistake that you would make. That might seem like the right thing to do because we're multiplying, but we have to add them to get the correct answer. So 10 times x to the 6th. 10 times x to the 6th would be the correct answer for that question. Okay, go ahead, stop the video. If you'd like to replay this again before doing the practice problems, that's fine as well. Otherwise, do those 10 practice problems. And if you have some trouble with that, watch the video again, pause as necessary, and then try those questions again. Good luck.